time for Behind Blue Eyes. Stephen Roach, how are you?
Timmy, I've never been better, mate. Can you believe how quickly the competition's going? Are we in round 8 this weekend?
And how good is it? I'm absolutely loving it. And even better today because a friend of yours, a friend of mine, an extraordinary rugby league player, played 349 first-grade games for Manly, 20 origins for New South Wales, 13 tests for Australia. Can you get it together? Because Stephen Menzies is joining us today. Beaver, how are you?
Timmy, good. Good to hear you. And Blocker, good to see you. How you doing?
The Beaver.
Oh, we're well, and as weeks have gone by after this sort of outrageous, different, unprecedented period, we're all getting happier because life's coming back to more normality. Can we start with Luke Cleary? And I will ask you, Beaver, what have you thought of Luke Cleary? He's playing out of his skin.
Yeah, look, he is, and I think he's off the back of last year. You can see that maturity that he's getting better and just becoming one of the leaders. And that takes time to be confident in your own ability, but being able to do it in the heat of the battle and when you need to in those big games. And I think he's really just going from strength to strength off the back of last year. It's exciting for New South Wales to see.
Yeah, we sort of robbed, aren't we, Blocker, of that Cameron Munster-Luke Cleary battle, which could well be a preview for what will happen later in the year at Origin with Munster being injured.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for Munster to get injured. Like, he's that type of player. It's interesting when you look at those two guys going up against each other, how different they are. Munster, if you remember back years ago, before Slater or when Slater was injured, he played fullback a lot. Wasn't real keen on playing 5'8", but different type of player. I would look at the young 5'8" from the Roosters as being an organiser and always, on the ball. Whereas the other bloke Munster is just a runner. I love the way that he runs the ball, takes it on, doesn't look overly big. A lot of people probably underestimate his strength, but yeah, you're right. We've been robbed this weekend of two greats going against each other.
But he breaks so many tackles, Munster, doesn't he? He doesn't look that big, but he just invariably he can't. The first player doesn't put him down. He's always a threat, and the great players can make something out of nothing, and he just seems to have that knack.
Yeah, he certainly does, doesn't he? He's playing in a Craig Bellamy coached team, which just means something different, doesn't it, when he's coaching a football team? What about Victor Radley? It was, I think we all had our heart in our mouths when he went down injured, and it was the worst possible scenario with the ACL. Steve, he was right in the mix. I think he would have been a part of that Origin campaign for sure, and now his season's gone. It's a bit of a hit for him and the Blues.
Yeah, look, it is, and it's injuries are physically draining on a player, and especially when deep down he would have known he's been playing well. He's considered, he would have been a good chance to be in, and a fraction of a moment, and mentally that it'll be such a tough thing to know that he's going to miss out potentially on an Origin jersey. But these kids are strong these days, and he'll bounce back. But just such a big loss, on the precipice of something special too.
Yeah, Blocker, you love him. Yeah,
look, the other thing about that is it's a cruel game, isn't it? Like, this guy is flying along at a young age, won a couple of premiership, beers and more beers when he's interviewed after the game, and then all of a sudden there was nothing in it. A lot of people were blaming the ground and all that. I just saw it as a change of direction and, slowing down and then trying to change direction and then gone. I mean, as I said, it's a cruel game. This kid was flying. Everyone was talking about him, and we love his toughness and the way he plays. And then all of a sudden he's gone for a season.
Yeah, and Beaver, younger players, and we've seen it over the course of time, they are susceptible to injury, aren't they? It's just the way that it is.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're getting too big and too strong for their ligaments. They're just, I retired 10 years ago, 08, 8 years ago from the NRL. They're just bigger. They're just different bodies. They're bigger, stronger, faster, heavier. And I've never seen more. You see pecs and you see ACLs. Back in the day, Blocky worked with me here. Yeah, you might see one ACL a season. These days you see one a fortnight. Like it's what's the answer to that?
Hey, Beaver, just explain to me too. You haven't retired that long ago, but I hear that a lot of sides have a heavy training week in season and all that. I just wonder if they would have had. I'm trying to find an answer why 2 ACLs were done in one game. Whether they might have had a heavy legs week or whatever. Can you enlighten us on that sort of training that they do?
Look, I don't think that type of stuff. I think today more than ever. I know some of the teams have, obviously the GPS is when you play, but literally the teams will train under GPS, and whether you've dropped every single ball or whether you've been perfect, they'll say, right, today we're running 5Ks, that's it. Yeah, so it's really they monitor on, especially in season, they monitor on, Ks on their legs, how many meters they're doing, rather than, nah, boys, we're going again. Remember the old days, it's just, you're going to keep going till you get this right. It's, no, I don't care if it looks terrible. We can't be, we've allocated 5 or 8 Ks today. I can't be pushing you out to 10 because it's going to mess up our sequence, throughout the season and throughout the week.
Does that give you the ability to push yourself in a game? Because if you never push your body to go that little bit extra, how's it going to do it in a game, in the game situation?
Well, I suppose they just prepare. So look, if you're going to give your maximum potential, I think the pre-season's built for push as hard as you can, push as hard as you can. They do it every day. They run some Ks. So during season, we need you up on the weekend. And how many, I don't know, can you push yourself that hard twice a week, 3 times a week? Is that overstrength? Is that too much? For soft tissue injuries. I would say they're pretty good at mapping it out. In season, it's just maintain. Pre-season is let's get faster, let's get stronger. If you need to put on weight, let's do it. In season, it's how do we manage brutal thing on the weekend, and sometimes 5-day turnarounds. How do we manage that to get you ready for the next week to do it again? It's a fine line.
Yeah, and we've got that other whole variable, and I suppose we'll never know because it's a different year to any other year. We had a massive change where nothing went on. So anyway, let's hope we don't see too many of these injuries. I wanted to ask about Nathan Cleary because that was so tough of him, blocker on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, he has put himself under a little bit of adversity with, being stuck in the hospital. Probably gave him time to think about his game, and he come out of there and, mate, he was brilliant. I like, we spoke a little bit earlier on the year. There's a perfect example of Blake's put on size, but he's also gotten quicker. I love the way he takes the line on now. We've spoken about it before, and there's talks of James Maloney coming back to the Broncos, but it's finally his team. And, mate, I said before that a ball had been kicked, I thought that Penrith was probably our side that's going to be the most improved. Api Carousel has made such a difference with that good, clean, early ball to Cleary. And, mate, he's playing as good as anyone in the NRL.
It was remarkable, wasn't it, Steve? He was on a drip and in hospital, and his face, you could see it, like just watching the camera, or watching the TV, rather. It was a real moment for him, Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, no, it certainly was. And on Blocky's point, he's playing some great football. And I think the thing for Nathan to go to that next level is the consistency, to keep doing it week in, week out, because that's the hard part. You can get in rhythm for 1-2 weeks, you start playing well. The forwards are going, are doing their job. You're getting that good early ball. Everything's in sync. It's being able to maintain your levels when things aren't going, the bounce of the ball is going to the opposition, and the boys, front rowers are getting rolled on their back. These other little subtle differences that can really affect how a hooker plays. How much quick play the ball is he getting to get out there? How much good, clean, early ball does a half get on it? Does he get running onto the football? If he's getting it. So just keeping his consistency and his ability to, okay, well, we haven't got the flow of the game. I need to kick early now. I need to change up his game, not that he's one-dimensional, but, that's what the great players do. So I think that's his next goal, to be able to maintain that level through all different types of different flows of games.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch how that all unfolds because, yeah, he's still so young. Parramatta this week got the Cowboys blocker. King Gutherson, he held his nerve last week. He's going to have to really step up. No Mitchell Moses, of course, because of that injury as well. But Clint Gutherson, he's never going to knock James Tedesco out of that back spot, but he's such an impressive player.
Well, he's there and abouts. He's been in the system the last couple of years with the New South Wales side. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Timmy. He stepped up to the plate after. What happens when you got a bloke like Moses so energetic around the ball and everything? He wants to do everything. I was so impressed with young Brown, the 5'8" too. I thought he didn't miss a beat after the young fella had gone off. But Gutho, someone needed to ice that game at the back end of the game, and Gutho just straight to the fore. Didn't even flinch, and I was really impressed how they played.
Beaver, Manly, they showed such grit and determination to get over the top in the week before against Canberra, and then the Sharks. Well, yeah, they turned up, but gosh, they were soundly beaten.
Yeah, look, Desi a bit disappointed. I suppose it's again, touching on what I was talking about with Nathan Cleary. They've got a young side, the Seagulls, and they're playing for each other. You saw the commitment the week before to win that type of game, but consistency is the hard thing for young teams, and it's this NRL constant week in, week out battle that can be hard. And if you're off a fraction, then you'll get shown up. So the thing for me is that one-off game doesn't concern me. It's how they turn up next week. If you lose a game, there's a little bit of edge in the way you train the next week. Can
they make the top four without Turbo? Because obviously he's such a big chunk of their armoury.
Yeah, look, they lose. He just does so much. It's not just that sweep play. He's pushing one off the ruck. You see him 20 metres out from the try line, and he'll take the first hit up and skip across the line, or he scoops out a dummy half. He just fills in so many roles. Look, I still think they can. I think what they've shown over the past 4 or 5 weeks that they can beat everyone. They can beat every side. So I think they'll win more games than they lose. They just need to keep that consistency. And I still think that they can be a top 4 side without Turbo.
Blocker, the Knights, they need to bounce back. Of course, they've had a good start to the year. This year that's been interrupted, and they come up against North Queensland, and look, they weren't flash. David Clemmer still tried hard. What do you make of the Knights' performance on the weekend?
I think from what I heard that the coach gave them 4 days off. It's a young side. He thought they might have needed a break. I don't think that'll happen again. They probably thought it was a summer holiday camp. Beaver will be able to tell you too, and we're talking about experience a little bit earlier. The better you go and the more pats on the back you get, if you're not experienced, that sort of, it's only human nature. It sort of goes to your head a little bit. And then the travel right up there to North Queensland, getting off the plane. They didn't even get off the plane, you could say, about the Newcastle Knights. So it's handling all that sort of stuff, not only playing well, but handling the different situations, different ways to play. As Beaver said, the bounce of the ball, it all went the North Queensland's way. And it was only in the second half when they snapped out of it a little bit, the Newcastle Knights. So I think when you've got a young side and you're starting to go well and you've got a new coach, he's still feeling his way too about how to control all the players and all that sort of stuff. So I reckon they might bounce back this week. I reckon they might have got a fair rocket after that game. He probably would have been saying to them, look, I'll give you a few days off, boys, but obviously you can't handle it. So, we're going to go hard again.
What about Canberra, Steve Menzies? I think a lot of people at the start of the year, including, me and others, were saying, boy, they're going to be hard to beat. But they're just misfiring, aren't they? They're not coming together like they did last year.
No, they're not. And look, I'm not concerned at this stage. They've still got a great squad across they're still quite a young team. And the great teams are only a 10-minute momentum shift or something from playing some great football again. So they're just out of sync. They're out of rhythm. And it sounds a bit wishy-washy, but when everything's going well, like I said, those other little subtle things, that half a second better play the ball because someone's pushed on the outside. These little things all add up to momentum. And just getting in the rhythm of attack, defence, attack, defence, and they're just out of sync a little bit. But look, if it's happening still in another 3 or 4 weeks, then I'm concerned. I just think they're too much of a quality side to write them off just yet. Because they've been there
Tim,
before.
I think you hit it right on the head there. That you were saying that everyone expected that. I think the problem with the Raiders at the moment is that they've become the hunted because of what they did last year in the grand final. I know they didn't win the grand final at the end of the day, but from the season that they had and how hard they are to play against, I think everyone's getting up to play the Raiders. So, I think they've got to overcome that sort of problem too.
Yeah, well, there's a long way to go and a lot of water to go under the bridge. So, Ricky wasn't happy, but he's intense. He's got a lot of ability in that squad. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Look, I was also, the thing that impressed us from a juniors perspective is the Pathways program. You're seeing a lot of these guys coming through, aren't you? The New South Wales Rugby League Pathways program. Reece Robson, Blake Brayley, Tommy Talau, Brian Steve Crichton, Tex Hoy. There's heaps of these guys for both of you that are coming through now.
Yeah, look, it is, and I think it's been one of the great things that the pathways that the New South Wales Rugby League have put in, and bringing these guys in, as younger and getting around the senior players, getting in that atmosphere, and really breeding. This is where we want to get to. Go away and concentrate on your footy, your club levels, but we want to see you back here in 2, 3, 4 years. And, Tommy Talau on the weekend, a couple of his finishes, amazing. These kids can really play. And it's just exciting for New South Wales Rugby League to have a plan in place and a system for these young kids and seeing it come to fruition, now and in the future.
It's got to be good for your confidence if you're you get picked in a train-on squad and all that sort of stuff, and all of a sudden, as Beaver was saying, you're mixing with these sort of guys, you start to think that you're not that far away. So, as he said, bring them back in 3 or 4 years' time. These guys could be Origin players and could go on to be some of our best Origin players ever. But they're putting the system in place. That's the main thing, and that's the exciting thing. And even just with Bedsy and Freddie and all those sort of guys now, not just worrying about the Origin team. They're worried about what's going to happen and what we're going to bring through in 5 or 6 years. So they've got to be commended for that too.
Blocker, let's get on to Steve Menzies. You covered a lot of his career, the headgear flying off the hip of Cliff Lyons. How do you reflect on Steve Menzies, the player?
Oh, mate, he was phenomenal. No doubt about that. I used to love watching him play. And Cliffy, I want to ask him a few questions about Cliffy as we go on, but Steve Menzies would be in any side. He made it. The thing that used to give me the irks a little bit about Steve Menzies' style of play and the way he could run the ball and all that, he made it look so easy. Everything I did when I played, it was always so hard. Mate, getting on the Cliffy about you, Steve, did he ever sell you a dump?
Not once. I think I played with Cliffy for, it might have been 6 or 7 years, but not once did he sell me a dump. I could literally even if I was supposed to be in this gap, I could, if there's 2 big front rowers there, I could skip to the outside or cut inside and just literally tell him where I was going. And if it wasn't on, he never threw me the ball. Like, it's, as a ball runner, you rely on your ball player to feed you the ball. And that's, you really appreciate the skill of that type of player when you do it for your job, you know what I mean? Because you play with other guys that are first-grade players, but the world class of your Andrew Johns, your Freddies, your Cliffies, that you can just you get the cream of the cream. And I'm sure you played in Australian sides and Origin sides. There's great first grade players, and then there's just these subtle things about world class players that just make your job so much easier.
What about when you? It's hard to believe it's 25 years ago that you made your debut for New South Wales. It makes us all feel a little bit older. But
not as old as me.
Oh, well, we're not far
nearly
behind.
35.
Thanks, Blocky.
We're almost, you and I are both almost at our seniors card. But I was going to say, Steve, what do you remember of when you got picked, how you got picked, who made the phone call, and those heady days of 1995?
Yeah, it was, well, obviously that was through the Super League, and they didn't pick any Super League players. So we had a a young side, and so did Queensland. I think that was Fatty's when he was coach, and there's all these kids that a lot of them they hadn't heard of, and we were expected to win. And the first game, I think it was 2-0. We lost the game 2-0. Wayne Bartram kicked a penalty goal. I can't even remember. It might have been in the first half. And that ended up being the final score. I think Tezza got held up towards the end. Look, it's representing your country. I was lucky enough to go in the '94 Kangaroo Tour the year before. And that's a greater honour. Playing State of Origin is a huge atmosphere. It's a huge build-up. It's one of the biggest arenas you'll ever be involved in. So it was just like a privilege to get selected. And a little bit on what we were talking before, you bringing these young kids through, Origin pathways. You need to believe that that's where you belong before you can actually truly compete at that level. And you can get selected and you're still going, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? You're giving your best, but it's that self-belief that can really make the difference.
Hey, Beav, I'm really interested to know, I know you played with Joey a fair bit. When Joey came back into the State of Origin, the difference between playing against him and playing with him?
Well, one was good fun, and the other one wasn't that much fun. No, look, he's a competitor. And a lot of people see the side of Joey, and obviously he's amazing at commentary, and they see the side of him that his talent on the field. And they go, he's just naturally talented. But it was his work ethic off the field that, and I'm sure you just don't. Greatness isn't, it's in you, but you just don't get given greatness. You have to work hard to it. And he used to be there before and after and during sessions, super competitive, fitness, everything involved with it was some of the reasons why he was the greatest. And if you look at that comeback game, just some of those little subtle things. I haven't seen that stuff for 5-10 years. Like he goes to the line, he looks inside of the pass. I can still see it. And then he goes to step off his right and ends up stepping off his left. And whoever the player, and he just goes through. Or he does that kick for Minnie back against the post, which they'd practice. And I think they tell you the story. He said, mate, I'm going to go across here and kick it back. And I'm aiming for the post, to bounce off. Little things like that. He practiced that. It's like Jordan's blind free throw when he closes his eyes. People think, oh my God, that was amazing. No, he'd done that 1,000 times before you do it in competition. That's why they're so great.
What about that 2-minute bell when you know you belong, and you played enough Origins, a lot of Origins to really be a part of that infrastructure? You could hear the roar from outside because every ground at Origin is so noisy. What was that like? A couple of minutes out.
Yeah. Look, I've got the hair standing on the back of my head now. Look, it's one of those things. You're going to war as close as you can to with your best mates. You know what I mean? And Blocky can say the same. This is, I've said it lots. You don't win because you're faster or stronger. It's your self-belief and what you're willing to do for your mates is what wins Origins. So when you go out there as one and you'll come back as either victorious or not as one. Doesn't matter whether you scored 6 tries or set up 2. It's you'll either win or lose, and you're all in the same boat. But it's walking down that tunnel. It's pretty special there at ANZ. It's a long tunnel. The crowd, you can hear the crowd before you get out there. It's it's shivers there. Blocky, what were you? I'd like to know what were you doing? Well, you would have been fighting people in the sheds before you go out.
Hey, Beaver, the show's about you, mate.
Sorry.
Hey, mate, you know what? I was bordering on a psychopath. How's that?
I just want a small sample.
Hey, listen, Beaver. Hey, Beaver, I love asking you this question because all these guys are New South Welshmen, right? Radley, Murray, Brown from Parramatta. Now, we come back to the ball playing lock forwards. How have you, remember the old English ball playing lock forwards? These guys are in the middle of the field ball playing now. How is that different to how you played? And what do you make of those guys?
Look, they're all talented. And like what you said, it's one of those things that you go through. The games goes through these shifts of we only need back rows and lock. At one stage there, locks were just, you're just another front row, just because you're defending in the middle, do the same job. And then, your back rows are just these guys that hit these straight lines and you've got to stay on your edges. Yeah, but years ago, there was, like you said, ball playing, Nick Kossoffs and guys that can play, Gav Miller's before that, and they were ball players, and these guys can do that. It's just, it gives me more joy to see the variety of these types of guys, that it's not just about stats and go forward and post contact meters and all these numbers that we do these days. Even though I love that stuff, it's about subtleties and skills, and I really enjoy that we're sort of coming into the evolution of that type of back row or lock again. I think it enhances the game so much.
Are you awake, Timmy?
No, I think he's falling asleep. It wasn't that exciting.
I enjoyed it, mate. That's
Thanks,
why I asked the question. I'd like to hear from, because if you look at your style was mostly a wide running lock forward off Cliffy Lyons.
Yeah.
So, hey, mate, just quickly, while Timmy's, I don't know what he's doing. He might be having a nap or whatever. Just quickly, your memories of and where you were when you first were picked for New South Wales or Australia.
I think I was at home. I think you got the phone call from Kari or someone said, you're in the team, get over to Coogee, pack your bags. And immediately your heart starts going 1,000 beats a minute and you go, oh my God. And it's nervous going in there, and you're coming in to an environment that you've only seen on TV. I played a couple of years at first grade, but yeah, that's a different level again. And, looking at the origins, Mick O'Connor and yourself and all these, that's what you grow up watching, your Brad Clydes, and it's such a big event. And then a little bit of disbelief, I suppose. You're going to be a part of that. So it's that drive into Coogee. You're excited, but it's nerve-wracking. But then once you get there, you're good to go.
Steve, just wrapping it up, because we're going to get you back to your day job, and look, you are the mortgage broker to the Stars. Tell us what you're doing now.
No, I'm a mortgage broker. Thank you for asking, Tim. No, look, I've been on 3 years. I love how you help people buy the biggest investment of their lives, and it's a tough environment with the bank. So, look, I really enjoy it. You help people, and working for Citywide, based out at Olympic Park. Actually, we're right out there a couple of days a week. I drive out there and see the stadium, and look, it's really good. You're helping people. I really, really, really enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
Buddy, we could talk to you all day. There's so much content, but it's such a treat to have you on Behind Blue Eyes. Really appreciate having me on there, and hopefully, towards the end of the year, let's get back on.
Throws the pass. He's got it back to you-know-who. Tedesco for the corner. Tedesco's over.